Hey, what's up? It is Dan McDonald. Today we're going to talk about the benefits of Ozempic, stomach stapling, and the removing of gallbladders. I'm just kidding. I've always tried to, encourage everyone over the years, even though I know people do things for many different reasons. The tummy tucks and stuff, they've given up on ever being able to control their appetite. And I get it with the food. Food is really a tough one because you can do without everything else. I get it. People are mad because, I'll talk about the coffee, and I've just always had a bad relationship with coffee, and I've seen people 30, 40 years later, I'm trying to quit, so I'm not up here trying to tell anyone how to live their lives. I'm just this is like a show, and I've read a million books, and I've helped thousands of people, and I've made thousands of videos. And I just have kind of this unique perspective on life. And I like the natural thing. I never listened to the government. I never believed in any of that stuff. And now people are finally starting to wake up. I mean, they're kicking and screaming about, heavy metals, mercury, toxins, food crap. But people are finally starting to wake up to what some of us was very basic common sense straight away from the beginning, and then all the books that we read just helped us to realize, that we don't want to poison ourselves. So I was going to talk about how to lose weight and tighten the skin. That's what I'll label the video. I'm not really a weight loss expert because I was never overweight. This is going to sound funny, but I went from drugs, the kind of drugs that make you skinny, where you don't eat and you stay up for days on end. Okay, that was when I was a kid, and I was, but if you heard my whole life story, you'd understand. But hey, here I am now, I just, it's weird. I wouldn't even want to say the level that it's gotten to, because there's no sense in bragging or anything like that, but it's a miracle, and it's a real blessing. And that's why I just thought, maybe, God, if the people could go through this insane process that I've gone through, then they would come out and they, I get it. People like balance is key and all this other stuff. And I get it. But that means I want to, drink wine and smoke weed. And that's how I'm going to get enlightened. Maybe if you get the right combination of, meat, wine, weed, and coffee, then you become enlightened. I don't know. But I've just felt better as I've relinquished all that stuff, less and less and less and less, and that's the philosophy at this time that I have, is to minimize as much of that stuff, especially the food, when it comes to weight loss and toning up your body, whoever you are, and maybe even gaining weight, to be honest with you, as far as absorbability of real foods. And it's the real food that will help create healthy tissues. You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of people think that autophagy is a real thing, but you actually have the same number of cells all the time. It's just that they're either loaded with junk or they're not. You're not really offloading cells in number. You're only releasing the toxins, which are creating a volume and a waste matter trapped within the cells and within the fascia and within the lymph system and within the small and large intestine, and fatty deposits and calcareous deposits, and toxin deposits, acids deposited, and polyps in your gut, or tumors, or all kinds of different growths on the reproductive organs. And so those are pockets of acidic toxins that go into your stomach and then slowly but surely over time seep into your blood, and then your blood has to store those toxins because your body has to keep your blood at a certain pH, otherwise you will die and you won't be able to utilize oxygen at all. And you need oxygen. No matter what the doctors say, no matter what the globalists say, air is not bad for you. Sun is not bad for you. If we get the diet right, that's why I'm always encouraging the natural foods, because that's going to keep the skin tight. one of the ways to keep the skin tight while you're losing weight is to drink the fresh juice that pulls, that sort of saturates the cells and then acts as a solvent and then releases the waste matter. And it's a slow and steady process. Obviously, dry fasting's the fastest. No one should even really be trying that, unless you've really been doing this a long ass time. Secondarily, the water fasting. And then third, most people can drink the juice and eat more raw food. They may not be able to completely do that because there's emotional stagnation and there's a lot of implications as far as coagulated material in the gut, which can take a long time. That's why the cleanse powder that I recommend from Paradigm is really good, using those herbs to, break and remove those blockages through there while you're using the fruit and the juices as a solvent, because, and the other thing that works really well is actually the whole fruit also, especially when you take the whole fruit and you dip the watermelon is particularly good for this, for the blockages in the small intestine, to a lesser degree in the large intestine because it's so much bigger. And the other thing about the large intestine, just for simplicity purposes, is that you can actually wash the colon out with a hose with the colon hydrotherapy. If I was overweight or had any disease or didn't feel well or had a headache or was overweight or was lethargic or addicted or had lymphatic problems, joint problems, energy problems, brain fog, digestive problems, I would save up my money and I would get a package with a colon hydrotherapist, and I would get a series of like 4, 6, maybe even 8. I've ran these retreats for a long time, and most people just get one colonic, maybe at the end or something after all the raw foods and the juices and the enzymes have done their work. But I have had some where we took them in, bam, they had such an amazing colonic, and then I was like, I found this colon hydrotherapist that was willing to do a colonic every day. Most of them won't because they don't understand that it's, they build. Each one progressively releases more emotional stagnation, more toxic waste matter. Now, the large intestine can be cleaned that way. The small intestine has to be cleaned with juices, enzymes, cleanse powder, fruit. You pick. Now, there are multiple layers of issues, and most human beings have a super stack to get back to the pristine state of their childhood, where all the tissues are pink and there's no sludge and there's no blockages, blobs of undigested waste matter, particularly, like I said, in the small intestine. And then there's always stomach issues, but the stomach does, repair itself very rapidly. But over time, the small intestine is probably where there is a very super amount, a very large amount of blockages in the small intestine, because now, I'm not saying you're going to have more blockages in the large intestine if you don't do colonics, But if you can regularly do those colonics, have your husband build you a colonic machine at home if he's an engineer, and then you get a filter and you just, boom, you can clean yourself out so good in the large intestine. But the small intestine, you've got to go from the top. And that's why the juicing into the stomach and the liquids move through the small intestine, breaking up those different layers and different viscosities of waste. There's several different layers and several different types, and over time it can become indurated, where there's no blood flow and it gets harder and harder and drier, and then it becomes more and more difficult. And that's when, you know, you need to pull out the big guns like the Pyrazyme, the ultra concentrated systemic enzymes to saturate your body with that enzyme potential to start breaking up some of those really hardened masses of fibrin and also the dehydrated waste matter over time. That's why a lot of times if you really go on a water cleanse or a juice cleanse, you'll just start removing so much mucus out of your backside, out of your nose, out of your ears. I mean, it's sad what we've come to in our society. You can't talk about it either. That's the other thing. I went way off the track from Ozempic and stomach stapling and weight loss to tighten up and tone those tissues, but everything I've mentioned here is along those lines and in that vein, you know. But the main thing for the people that want to lose weight and heal up those tissues is to eat whole food. I am particularly fond, I call myself a live food enthusiast. I don't really like to identify as anything. They're like, what are your pronouns? I'm like, I am. You know, I am what? I just am. You know, I am the absolute. I am just pure awareness watching all this. And I'm just a channel for I wake up and I just say, okay, God, do whatever you're going to do. And then the show's been going on for 17 years. People watch it. They get stoked. I had colon charts that I would sleep with. So I've thought about the human organism. I've had unbelievable experiences with myself. I never even got it, to tell you the truth. I mean, obviously the people online, they're way more evolved and masterful than I am. But I do enjoy, you know, at least let's keep moving, because I am still moving in that direction to the best of my ability and trying to navigate what is the spirit and what is the ego, because it would be better to just go with the spirit and let the natural progression flow. So if your spirit feels, you know, like, hey, I want to flush some of this waste out of me without using the drugs, which cause the blindness and 100 other side effects, and it really ends up working against you, work with life, cultivate that life. Like I said, the living foods is really my favorite kind of food. But a lot of the plant-based people get all jacked up because they don't know proper food preparation. I'm going to have to do some proper food preparation classes for the vegans and plant-based people. I lean more towards, you know, I don't identify as this, but I like fruit. So there's fruitarianism is what they call it. But I don't call myself a fruitarian because I don't want to box myself in, because I want to follow that intuition, environmental intuition, and the processes of life, you know, in the different stages. You really want to have more an intuitive approach. But some of the more commonsensical things, I'm not saying a donut is bad, but I'm saying that maybe if you eat 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 donuts every day, there may be an issue that compounds over time. The chips, it's not even the seed oils. The seed oils can actually be really good if they're properly extracted. And here's the thing. It's not the seed oils, it's the extraction methods using these poisonous solvents. And that's the problem, okay? So the seed oils are fine. The seeds and the nuts, especially when they're soaked and sprouted, when they're not, there are some issues, you know? That's why the nut butters and stuff aren't the best. Not the worst, because I don't demonize anything, you know, because I don't want to judge anyone, and there's a lot of different, you know, contexts. I know some people are like really hardcore on their diet trip and think everyone else needs to do exactly that same thing. But there's infinite levels of consciousness. I'm getting way off track like I always do. My name is Dan McDonald and I'm a crazy fool. But let me tell you about just the Ozempic thing. These quick fixes, they don't really work. You kind of got to get in it for the long haul. You got to align yourself with the divine, with the inner intelligence, with the rules and the laws of life to the best of your ability in a society that's gone upside down, backwards, clown world. But it's actually absolutely beautiful, because you can make your life whatever you want it to be. I don't see all of it, and then people will call me ignorant. It's like, I see what I want to see. I see a reflection of my own insides, which is, hey, I care about myself. I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing the best I can. So there's a mirrored reflection of, hey, you know, that lady is doing the best she can. Donald Trump's doing the best he can. Everyone to me is doing the best they can because I'm doing the best I can, you know. And I know how hard this is, to differentiate what is the infinite spirit, what is the divine path versus what the hell is the ego. And it's like a real challenge. So is it not a challenge? Even someone as blessed as me, who's come as far as I've come, to be educated, to be abundant in every way, to have health and, relative mental clarity and sobriety from all this stuff. And I don't mean to put people down on the coffee. There was somebody, I drink coffee. They all say that though, And it's like, it was just me. My system doesn't do well with coffee. And all the people that I've known that are like, I'm going to get off this coffee. And then 20, 30, 40 years later, they can't break free. So I have this weird philosophy for myself. Like if I'm addicted to something and I realize it, that is the day that I begin to get sobered on that. I don't want to be controlled by anything, and the food is the hardest thing, to not be controlled by. At least for me. And there's a lot of other things. We're just addicted. And there's so many different reasons. So I think people should have compassion. That's what I think. People hate that. They're like, you're going to do what I tell you that you're going to do because these are my maniacal, fanatical, religious, and militant belief systems. You're killing and murdering everything. I hate you. You're ruining the planet. And it's like, whoa, your vibe is fucking up the place, bro. Or whoever you are, you got to chill out, man, and let everybody just chill. Try to be cool, try to be loving, try to be supportive. If someone's not your vibe, they're not your tribe, It's cool. You don't need to go chastise everybody. Anyways, that's been my message lately. I'm just like trying to get everybody to be like, hey, you don't have to be such a dick. But it's social media. And the social media algorithms are set up for war. They're set up for conflict. If I make a thing and I'm like, hey, here's how you cure yourself of cancer, it gets like 4 views. If I'm like, oh, the drama of my life, I hate these people, then everybody's, algorithms, yeah, they're watching it. It's all, so I use the drama in the show to keep the algorithms juiced up. And then every once in a while, then the people are like, maybe this guy knows what he's talking about. I'm going to call him for a consult. And that's how I get to eat my little snacks and pay my bills, So Ozempic, weight loss, try to keep your gallbladder. Try not to let anybody cut anything out of you if you can avoid it. That's the one thing I'm like, praise the Lord. After everything I've been through in this life, I have all my organs, all my glands, all my teeth. I mean, it's a miracle that someone somewhere didn't cut my shit out. Because my parents really didn't know what was up. Now, they did get me into the pediatrician, and I ain't never been right since, okay? That's why I talk big against the whole wackadoodle nut jobs that are trying to Satan. That's what I see it. But let's not get on track because we don't want to be damn McDonald's and conspiracy theorists. Well, I've been right about everything. I've been right about everything. And I still got my virility. I'm hanging low and heavy. So you know what I'm saying? And the rest of it is like, damn McDonald, I don't like you. Why you thought you were really high? And I'm like, whoa, you got to calm down, man. You got to quit eating so much soy. And you got to quit letting them put all that crap into your body. And you got to quit rubbing sunscreen on you if you can. But that's a conspiracy theory too. Not the sunscreen itself, but the people that say, hey, don't rub toxic synthetic chemicals all over your body that soak into your skin and ruin your reproductive organs and ruin your brain. And don't saturate your hair either. All these women, like, why are women crazy? It's like, well, look, they've all dyed their hair, and it soaks right into their brain. I mean, I think some of them have gotten better and the women have gotten a little more aware, but they're still, if you go to the salon and you look at all that stuff, they're like, people are rubbing that into their brain. And so when someone gets up here and says, what do you use? I'm like, I don't use anything. I mean, I do use essential oils and I use Bronner's soap for my armpits and to shave. But I mean, I don't rub anything on my skin except olive oil, sesame oil, coconut oil, and that's it. And I try to stay hydrated. I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I'm just like, less is more is what I'm trying to say. So stay on track. If you want to tighten your skin, and as you lose weight, then you want to, number one, drink fresh juice every day with a handful of enzymes. If you're really overweight, Get the Purizyme in the bottle, the 120 count, super concentrated. If you have a little less money and you're working on a little bit, more subtle, and you're not like extremely morbidly obese, then a bag of the Lifezyme is very beneficial because you get 1,000, and you can get more into the habit of blasting your system with systemic enzymes that are therapeutic. When you drink it with the juice, they're therapeutic. When you take them with the food, they're digestive. They're multifactorial, So if you take enzymes with food, it helps digest and utilize the food. If you take enzymes on an empty stomach with juice, it helps to break down all the old trash and the saggy, flabby skin, which is stored toxins in your skin. You've got to break that stuff loose and flush it out of your system by drinking juice, blasting enzymes, and bouncing on the rebounder. Now, walking is amazing. Cycling is amazing. Swimming is amazing. Pilates is amazing. Yoga is amazing. Weightlifting is amazing. But for the toning of the skin, there's not going to be anything better than, number one, fresh juice every day with enzymes. Number two, fruit washing through your system, expanding the light through the system and through the blood, washing away the waste, and then allowing the tissues to release. Okay, now that might take a while because that's going to be psychological, emotional, physiological, and biological. You can saturate with the fresh raw foods and the juices and the enzymes, and you might be like, nothing's happening, but trust me, it's building, and then one day, if you stay the course and don't fall back to the alcohol, the weed, the wine, the burgers, the pizza, and you keep going, and you get off as much of the stuff as you can. I got to go to the bank, so we'll have to end this video, but get off as much of the artificial stuff as you can, and then like the natural, simple foods are the best, and the high water fruits. I mean, we've got a couple of good months left. There's still grapes, watermelons. I'm thinking of the mainland. All the good stuff of the end of the summer. And then the fall produces some great stuff too that you can utilize. Now, when winter comes, you're like, what do I do? I'm like, well, you make the hot ginger tea, You make the hot ginger tea with the goji berries and the lemon and the honey, and then you just drink that when you're cold. And you just flush yourself out with that while you're blasting the enzymes. So, let's recap, and I'll let you go. Try not to let them cut you up as little as possible. Try the natural route, and don't give up, because you've got layers and layers and layers of childhood trauma that you're going to have to face. And this is not a once and done thing. This is not like a 3-day smoothie cleanse, and all of a sudden, you might feel a tiny bit better, but you didn't really. This takes constant refinement, constant dedication, constant persistence, constant forbearance. You want to have it, but you're just like. And that's another thing. I have these videos, I'm insane, but I know so much. I'm so smart. No, but it's like, you also have to be good to the little inner child as well. So it's like, you kind of got to be as militant as you can without hurting yourself and getting out of balance. So it's kind of like on this journey, really, I guess you could say 2 steps forward, 1 step back. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Some people don't do that. At least that's what they say on the social media. But really, everyone has to work with their inner child and the multiple layers of subconscious consciousness that you're dealing with. And you got to be kind to yourself. And you can't just force your way through this. It has to be just done with consistent awareness and persistence. But hey, drinking some fresh juice isn't that hard, kids. Come on, you're drinking sodas, you're drinking the seltzers, you're drinking all kinds of weird stuff. I see it with everyone everywhere, and it's weird stuff. And I just don't. Have I? Sure. Have I been totally perfect for the last 32 years that I've been drinking juice every day? No, I haven't. But I just don't. I haven't had a soda in I don't know how long. I'm not bragging. I'm not saying I'm better than you, but I'm just saying the people, they don't. And then when I gave my kids the watermelon juice, and her boyfriend, and both of my daughters, and everything, they were like, oh, this watermelon juice is way better. My grandson, my granddaughter, I just kept the fridge full of watermelon juice because, everything else was just kind of like, they only had the Breville spinner, and that's the only one I could justify because it's just, anyways, I'm going to drive around in circles for a few minutes. I could go on and on and on and on about this and every little thing because it's like, is it so much of a 5-minute video that someone can tell you how it's going to all work out? It's very nuanced and subtle, and it's divine, and it's challenging, but it's simple, but it's persistence. I guess that's the one quality that I kind of have, because I wasn't really all that great. My willpower and all this stuff, but I just kept going, and I've been really, really blessed with a lot of different things in a lot of different ways, and I have my challenges too, but what I like to do, what I've been able to do for myself anyways, is to kind of keep my tissues relatively clean, and I've been able to get, sobered up. When I said on the last one, I'm still working on sobriety, what I meant was like only the food is the only, thing that still has like a grip. Like I'll be like, I'm lonely, and I'll just eat these big pile of fatty food, And, but at the same time, like I said, there's also some balance in there. I'm balanced. I'm not this freaky freak that's like pissed at everyone because I'm deficient in vitamins and stuff or whatever. Or how dare you not follow my exact path? I mean, my cap has been blown and I just ramble on. It's like, I can't even stand this guy. What is he talking about? It's like, but if you get it, you would have known that I could have said in 2 minutes, okay, number 1, take juice with enzymes. Number 2, bounce on the rebounder. Number 3, get to bed on time on a relatively empty stomach. In other words, eat 2 or 3 hours before you go to bed. And number 4, keep your ass moving. Get stoked. Get your bike out and ride. Go for a walk. I mean, walk. And the rebounding for the people that want to tighten up the skin. I mean, the formula for the skin tightening is the fresh juice, the enzymes, and the rebounding. And you got to do that like every day. And if you're serious about it, get on the juice, blast as many enzymes as you can afford, and then bounce as long as you can. 20 minutes a day is like a minimum. 30 minutes is, intermediate. And then like 1 hour a day is advanced. And in about 3 weeks, I know everyone says this, but like the Tai Chi commercial, the guy, I'm 68. Now the doctors come to me for health. It's like, well, you're an AI generated video. This is real, I think. This could be AI generated, and the technology is extremely advanced. I have gone on long enough now, but 30 minutes is a great video. I do these 10, 20, 30, 40-minute videos. I did a 40-minute video this morning. It's very special for the Elite Video Club if you ever want to see kind of the real DTM. This is real enough. But sometimes I talk more in depth about some more of the more advanced stuff. But over here, it's just the simple, basic stuff. Try to eat the best food you can and go out and have fun and keep moving and go to bed on time. And, I'm just saying to everyone, because I know I get these comments, well, every day at McDonald's, balance and all this stuff. And coffee is not a drug, But I'm like, it kind of is. And I'm just like, try to get as sober as you can from all the stuff, because less is more. You'll feel really, really good. Trust me. I'm not going to tell you what I'm up to, but the less is more, and you will have more clarity. You'll have more energy. You'll feel better. You'll feel more connected. Less. But also at the same time, eating is good. It's beautiful and it's meaningful. And it's important to honor yourself in every way that you can, while simultaneously trying to do the best you can to consume things that are clean and pure and not poison. That's all I'm trying to say, is try not to let the underlords poison you. That's the one thing I've been able to avoid. Up to 90% avoidance of all of the stuff that we're supposed to spread on our skin and put in our skin and put in our bodies. The government said so. Okay, government. I really want the government. I don't do that. I don't want any of their trash. I don't want any of it. I want my blood to be as clean as I can be. I want to be as healthy and as happy as I can be. I do that for myself. I love you. DTM 30. See you soon.